Okay, I think I can probably jump right in. So we're talking about how to implement the GA4 code and get that connection started. It is very similar to what we've done before with the UA property type. So most of the heavy lifting is going to be done by Google Analytics. It's just going to take you through the form, ask you some questions that the UA property type had asked before. And then once we get the code spit out to us, we're just copying and pasting into the same place in our MyLO sites. So I am working with my sample basic site. Let's just start off, I guess, with creating the property. So in this instance, I already have a Gmail account, and I already have my Google Analytics set up. So if you are coming into this and you don't yet have any analytics accounts set up, then the steps you take will just include having to set the account up before you can get to the property. So my steps will include just going straight to creating the property here. So you would go to the admin cog down in the bottom left corner of the screen. And this will bring up your accounts and property settings. So like I said, I'm already working with an account I've created. I'm going over here to the Create Property button with the proper account selected. So this is a nice little timeline that we get to see of what we're filling out. The property name should just be something that describes your site. Typically, I go with just the name of the site, and you can put MyLO, but you can make it as short or as long as you need. I would probably recommend a shorter title there. And then we can just go straight to next, because the rest of that information should already be set to what is set up in your Google account. Then the business details, this one we've talked about before, and I've never known which is best for our type of work. So it doesn't really affect your reports. I'm blanking on which category of reports it is, but there's a very small section in the reports, at least in the UA properties, where Google would show you based on industry categories what folks are interested in. And so I think this is what affects that. And so go through that, pick the best one or other, and then business size. And next. And here you can choose to like specialize your reports in one of these categories, or down here at the bottom, you can just get baseline reports, which will give you all of these different types of reports. It will be an even spread. We'll create that. And then now the data collection. This is going to be the stream, I believe they call it, that we're setting up. So this is where we're creating the connection to our MyLO site. So we're going to click web, and I like to just copy the URL straight from the address bar. If you copy the whole URL, just make sure that you exclude the HTTPS because we're selecting it here. And then I paste that in. And then again, the stream name is kind of similar to the property name, just to describe what we're following. And I can just go with what they provide as the example there. And then the enhanced measurement. This is going to already be enabled, which is awesome. And it allows us to follow when by default, we're seeing page views when we're seeing Google Analytics traffic, but then it's giving us a little bit closer look to what folks are doing, because it will track scrolls, outbound clicks, site search. Let's see what else. File downloads, I think. Oh, and form interactions. Yeah, so there's several different types of interactions that we'll get to see in addition to just the page views. And so we'll create the stream.
Amaris,
Yes.
that's a quick question about what I got this email a while back saying that if I didn't do something, they were going to do it for me unless I opted out.
Yes, that is referring to what we're doing now, creating that GA4 property. So I think Google has just been going through current UA users' accounts and kind of duplicating the property into GA4. If they haven't done it yet, it's okay for us to go ahead and do it. If you want to just get ahead of the curve, because then again, they're still checking everybody's accounts. And then at that point, they'll probably just, say that you're all good to go.
But what if they have already created it?
If they have already created it, then you would start at, well, I can go ahead and go over the exact steps, but essentially you would start at this point where you're going to go to the installation.
So there's no step to edit what they've already done? No, because we might not agree with the names they chose.
I see. Yeah, actually, yes. Through the property settings, I think you have a lot of flexibility. We'll see exactly how much. We'll go over that in a sec.
Anne-Marie, I kind of got lost. How did you get to where you are now?
So I did go through the process of creating the property.
And then what did you hit to get here?
Yeah, it kind of went through a few screens. I didn't get to go through them. So let's see if I can get back to it. So this was kind of the page where it asked me the stream type, and it had web, Android app, iOS app, and I selected web. And once you select web, then it will ask you what is the URL for this stream, and you enter in your MyLO URL. You'll have to choose the HTTPS from the drop down and then name the stream. And then I think it's create stream. You hit the create stream button. It will bring up this window, and then it will bring up, is this the other window that it brought up? And then it'll bring up this one. So that loading of screens happens quickly and automatically.
I was trying to write and then you did the two clicks and now we're back here and I don't know how that happened again. Can you show me again so I can?
Sorry. Yeah. So this was kind of the page where we started filling out the stream. And then once we clicked,
you did do enhanced measurements after that, right?
Yes, I didn't have to make any changes. I just wanted to show you guys what it was, but you don't have to click through enhanced measurements unless you want to turn anything off, but I wouldn't advise that.
Okay.
Leave it. And the URL,
like you can edit.
Okay.
It looks like you can edit that.
Yes.
In my email, it says complete setup. Is that going to get me where you guys are now?
I'm not sure. I would suggest clicking on it. It probably will at least get you to the analytics, to your analytics account. Just make sure you're logged into your proper Gmail. And we can go through this again as well.
Okay.
So yeah,
URL,
you can edit this.
This URL you chose, is ours home.html or shtml? I mean, you have sample basic site. For most of us, is it the URL that you go to when you just put in the domain name?
It won't be your domain name. It will be your MyLO URL.
Right. So, but when you put that in, it takes you to MyLO, right? Then if you copy that address, Would that be the one you put in here?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, you visit your domain, let it change over to the MyLO URL, and then that's the one you want to paste in.
okay, great.
Okay, and so yeah, the stream, we create the stream, and then this page reloads here, and then the view tag instructions immediately comes up as well. And so just in case anybody didn't know or wasn't clear, you do have to do this for your own league. I can provide reports, but as far as, you know, making this installation and connection to Google Analytics in this way, this is per league. So we're at the installation point. It brings up the set of instructions here on the left, but we're going to install manually. So click over to the right, and we see something kind of familiar. This looks like what we've used before. So the Google tag, there's a little copy icon in the top right corner of this little text box, or just highlight and copy the old school way. Just get that whole thing copied. And then we're going to come over to your home page. So like I am using Sample Basic site. I'm coming over to this home page and create a new draft or edit the draft. And we're going all the way down to within advanced settings, the Google Analytics tracking code. And it is okay to have more than one tracking code. If you are not yet ready to disconnect your UA property, just scroll past it. You don't have to put anything special in between. And sorry, that was a little fast. So I put a space in between there, and I pasted in the new Google tag. And you'll notice the difference. Whoops. If it will unclick for me. Well, this property type, there we go. It starts with a G, or our, what do they call it? The Google tag ID. It starts with a G, and then our old one, oh no, I already have a new one set up. Well, the old one had started with a UA. So that's where you'll know the difference. If you're trying to clean it up later on, once we're 6 or more months in the future, when Google's like, we're finally closing UA, then that might be something you want to clean up. If you leave it, it's not a problem. It will not affect your other code that you have going on. So we have our new one in there. And all I have to do is publish my change. So if I left it in draft mode, it wouldn't push that change all the way through. So we do need to publish and save. And then we can come back to the analytics tab. So I like to have them both open because you can go back and forth between both. The analytics tab, if you close both of those screens that are up, it brings you back to the final step of our property creation. I think if I click here, no, it's bringing that back up. So this eventually is going to update. It's telling me right now that it's not yet active. I'm going to click next, is it? There we go. So I click next. Let's see, can I get continue to home? There we go. That's what I'm trying to click on. So down at the very bottom, continue to home.
Oh, it's not quite on your screen. Oh,
sorry. I think, yeah, I was going a little too zoomed in. So at the very bottom, it had said continue to home. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to bring that back up, but I can also go through the process again and create a new property. So again, it still takes a little bit to update. So when I've tested it before, I've just kind of refreshed, or jumped around because it will eventually say that it's trying, like it's connected, but it's not yet receiving data. Once we make the little connection. And maybe I'll
So-
just go through the process again and then we'll check back later. But yeah,
So, so if we have the old one set up
Mhm.
and we put this new one in there, it'll continue doing both until 1 July. And then possibly even longer, or will on 1 July, will the old one just cut off?
It sounds like that is the case, that July 1, it will cut off as far as collecting. There is a chance always that they extend it, but that's what they've been warning. As far as the other timeline, the 6 months or more, that's going to be for the historical data that you've already collected. So you have that amount of time to export whatever reports or data you need.
But you do have to do this final step to make it happen.
You do. I would imagine that the Google Analytics, the one that they've created for you, it should be all the way set up. And, you know, if you needed to make any changes to like the property name or the stream name, I think you can make those changes and it won't affect the code. So yeah, you can probably go straight to, so let's go through that while we're kind of waiting on that, and then I'll go through the process of creating a property again. So if you had Google create your property for you, then again, make sure you're under the correct account and then find that property that they created. And then under property settings is, I think typically where you can make your changes. Is that the only change? Yeah. So you can change the property name and industry category under property settings. And I think, I'm not sure what the data collection is. No. Oh, reporting identity maybe? No, I was trying to see if you'd be able to alter the reports that they selected, the type of reports that you want to see, but I would imagine Google is probably setting you up with the default, you know, like see all types of reports, not just one focused. So yeah, I would just recommend maybe in the property settings, if there was any other place you wanted to make changes, you can ask me, or I would also just say poke around. But as far as once the property is created, then I think it's under Setup Assistant. Yeah, so under Setup Assistant, collect website and app data. So if the property's already there, the GA4 property's already there, go over to the little cog and then under property, click on Setup Assistant and we'll see data collection. And then from there, I clicked on the little caret to see the actions, and we want to manage data streams. And so since I already have a stream set up, we're seeing it listed and then the add stream button there. Otherwise, I think you would have, you know, the URL box empty and the stream name box empty to be able to fill right in and then create new stream.
Have you set up a tag at this point? Is that completed?
I did, but I'm going to go through the process again.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's how to get to it if you already have the property set up. Let's do this same thing. Maybe this time I'll go from the account point. Many of you are probably going from the property point where you already have an account. But just in case, if anybody is starting kind of fresh in their analytics account, then you probably don't yet have an account set up within it. So an account is, it just kind of groups together several different types of properties. Like if each of our leagues was managing not only a website, but 2 different kinds of apps, we could all put it under one account. But typically we'll probably only have one account per our analytics.
What if you're using the search app? Would that be something that would be under this name?
If you're using the search app, if it's an actual application like for iOS or Android, then that could be something you follow.
I think she's talking about all that information you got so that we could make our site more searchable.
Yes.
And there was
yes,
an
yes.
app associated with that.
I'm not sure. That is a website, so I don't know about an app.
Well, whatever. We were doing something and it was search.google.com.
The
And
console.
it's, yeah. And is that related and would it tie to this account name that we're creating?
No, although they're both Google products, they're not connected to the console, isn't connected to this analytics
Okay.
account.
Okay.
So I'm just going to say MyLO Sites as the account name, but again, you could just name it your league. It could be the same name that you have that you're going to name your property. It doesn't matter. So the account data sharing settings, I typically just leave what Google recommends. You can make changes to your liking. And let's go next. And so if you've already started with an account where you already had it created, you would start here. So we just started with one step prior. Now we're starting to create our property. So I am kind of just recreating or retracing my steps. The property name can just be your league's name, whatever you decide. We'll go next since the reporting time zone and currency are filled in by default. And then the business details. It will, like I said, help improve Google Analytics so it won't affect the reports you're receiving. The only place where I believe it may touch, and I'm not sure if this is even in Google Analytics 4, it was in, or it is in Universal Analytics, where I think interest categories or something, or they relate to the industry categories in some way. But choose whichever you feel is closest to what we do, or there's other, and then choose the business size. And then go next. And with the business objectives, these 4 are essentially all wrapped up in here. So the baseline reports will include a general idea of all your types of reports, rather than if you chose one, you'd get a focus on just that. And I do believe that this is per property, so you can't go and change it. If you wanted to have a different business objective, you might consider having another property, but I don't know how much of a difference that would give you. So I recommend the baseline reports and we create. Since I was creating a brand new account, it does ask me to accept the terms of service. I will. And then it kicks us straight to start collecting data. So this is where we have to choose the platform, and we choose web, and we get a pop-up here to set up the data stream. And so I like to have the MyLO site open, since I'm just going to copy the address. And just make sure to exclude the HTTPS. So I paste that in. And again, the stream name can be what your property name is, what your account name is. It's totally fine. I'm just going to copy them. And then the enhanced measurements, I'm not making any changes there since it has all of the possible options selected for me already. And then I click Create Stream. We get the web stream details, and then in a second, we get the installation instructions. And so we are installing manually. And we can just copy from that little icon in the corner. And then I'll come back over and just do the same. I won't take out any code, just going into the new draft, down to advanced settings. And here under Google Analytics tracking code, let's just add it to the top this time. And so I just paste it in and I'm just hitting enter. They could be, you know, following one right after the other. That's okay too. But I just like to have a little space in between them, but no effect there. So I've plugged that in. I'm going to go straight to saving. Actually, sorry, publishing. Make sure you set the moderation state to publish and then save, since we want to ensure that that is fully set up.
When you paste into that Google Analytics box on the homepage, is it allowed to type in a little title so that you can say new Analytics 4 code?
Yeah, good point there. There is a title, and just so that you have it in your back pocket, and it's a good HTML tag to know. So this here indicates the beginning of a comment. So it is recognized by the system that it is not HTML. So we have, and I can paste this into the chat as well. Oops. So this is a comment, and then we end it with kind of an arrow out. So these are the beginning and end. And that indicates that it's the comment there. And you can just, yeah, you can add new, you can add the date. That is a very good idea. Okay, so let's come back over to the analytics. Since now we have a couple of properties set up, we can kind of check between both. So I just closed both of those pop-up screens since we've finished the installation. I end up back here at the start collecting data page, step 5. I'm going to click next. And my screen might be a little zoomed in. There we go. That might be a little easier to see. We get to this page. It gives you some links to read documentation or download one of their apps, but we're just going to continue to home unless you do want to click through to any of those others. But we continue to home, and this is what we wanted to see. So we see that your data collection is active. It may take up to 24 hours to appear in your analytics account. So at least that is giving me confirmation. And then one other thing too is that it tells me I'm there because I am on there. And it will, you know, if any other number of you were on there, it will give you that real-time result. So that immediate confirmation between those two pieces is really nice. Yeah, so any questions about the setup?
But when it says it's active, the G4 version isn't active, is it?
This
Yeah,
is this is the GA4 property.
but the collection doesn't happen until July 1st, right?
No, I've set up the property and I've installed it on my MyLO site. So it's starting to collect data. What's
so
happening?
you can start collecting
yeah.
G4 data.
Mhm,
So, and you can also export. your old data.
Right. Yeah,
Okay.
you'll have that until what's 6 months from July? January at least. And because they have said it in, you know, their help stuff, that they may extend it, you know, how things happen in the tech world. So at least until January, we have time to export the UA property data. But yeah, the GA4 properties are ready to go. They're available to start collecting data. So it's probably smart for us to overlap our data collection.
So, Maurice,
Mhm.
if we want to get our UA property data off, do we have 2 accounts now, or is it all kind of blended into one and we just, and if we start exporting reports, it'll default to our UA account?
Let's check that out. So you will have to pull up the UA account, and let's see if I can actually find one. So I have this one here. I'm not sure if it has any data, but you would pull up that property, and then you'll probably get all these warnings. And let's just come home. No, that might not give me a chance to export. Let's just pull up all traffic channels just so that we can test the export. So you would want to pull up the property that you're looking to get data for, and then pull up the report that you're looking for, and then export.
Wait, what report? I mean, I'm
If you're
sorry.
if you're trying to export UA data, you do
Yeah.
have to pull up that property. So you can either do it from the admin cog, or from up here where all of your accounts and properties are listed.
And will we see our GA4 account listed there as well, just like you do?
Yes. Well,
Okay.
it depends. I mean, if Google created it for you, or if you have created it, then yes.
Okay, thanks.
Do you know how Google identifies what kind of a name do they choose?
That I don't know, but you have the ability to change it. Under admin, you would go to property settings
Okay,
under that property. And you get to change whoops, let me pull up a GA4 property because it looks a little different.
does it at least call itself a GA4 property
I do
when
not
Google does it?
I do not know. But again, you have the ability to change it. What will tip you off if they don't call it a GA4 property and you're unsure of which one it is, look at the number at the end. So this one is just a string of numbers. UA properties will start with UA dash, and then that string of numbers dash,
Okay.
and then whatever else.
Okay.
Yeah, so just use that as your marker. Yeah, because if they're calling it the exact same thing as the previous property, that'll help you there. Yeah, because I'm not sure how they're setting it up. They are, I mean, they probably have a lot of customers, because I feel like we've talked about this for a while, and we've known that they have started the process of starting to create GA4 properties for us. But it has taken a minute for the comb to go through. So yeah, if it's created for you, then that's how you would make some changes to the property settings. I just want to pull up the
And
other.
there's that pink box up at the top of the page too. Before you leave, would you talk to us about that?
So this is letting me know that this property is not set up. This is not going to be your issue because I set this up to collect data from the UA property, and that's why it's giving me this warning.
Okay.
But the way that we're instructing everybody is that we want it to be completely GA4 connection to the site, not through UA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you go back and show how you exported it? I
Yeah.
missed a step there.
Let me pull up. So I'm assuming the UA4 properties is what we want to see.
Yes.
Or
Oh, I
UA,
thought we were-
UA, sorry, not GA4.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just pulling up the proper property. And so pull up the report you want to see. Let's see, active users. Not any data for me, but again, any report that you pull up, whether there's data or not, you'll have these options at the top. You can save it. Let's see. Okay, so saving a report only just allows you to save it within Google Analytics. You probably don't want to do that. So export or share are probably the best options. Export gives you options of PDF, Google Sheets, Excel, or a CSV. And then you can share it. There is a frequency you can set up for it, but again, we're on limited time with this property type. But that is an option. And then the attachment can be PDF, Excel, or CSV.
But you're going to have to go through all these different types of reports you want to export. I mean, what does this look like in a PDF? How is it useful to you?
I'm not sure. Let's see if I can get some data here. Let's try a different one.
Maybe make it longer than 1 day.
I'm using my demo site. Nobody visits my demo site. Nobody wants to visit my site. It's okay. I always expect it to be at 0, so that's fine. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm not trying to look at the GA4. Okay, let's just pull up an old MyLO. We'll just look at all of MyLO. Okay, so let's try that again. I was at active users. Okay, so if I export this to a PDF, and maybe I'll try it on a different one as well because this report is not that involved. So it looks pretty much like what we see on the screen. One of the biggest downsides that I've noticed is that like the tooltips are obviously not there. So when you hover over stuff in Google Analytics, there's a lot of helpful information that sometimes pops up that won't come across when you export the data. So if you might take notes, you might, maybe just have like the glossary on hand. I would imagine Google Analytics has something like that. But yeah, for the most part, let's try a different type of report, one that actually kind of has a list of different URLs and things.
Now, just to be practical,
Mhm.
you have the California MyLO site. Are you going to try to export a lot of this stuff? What would you export for that site that you maintain?
I hadn't thought about it, but that's probably a good idea.
I'm just wondering how
Yeah.
important this is to export.
Well, I mean, if you were trying to just have kind of a general sense, you could just do the overview of all of these because that's exportable as well. I, off the top of my head, don't know. I would actually possibly look back at our Google Analytics video that we did where we talked about reports, because that was back when I knew what reports were the most helpful. That has kind of fallen out of my head as of like recently. So I can dig that up and share that with folks so that we're not all having to dig back and find that. But otherwise,
I usually report during board meetings about how many visitors we've had to the website and what was the most popular page and things like.
But that's sort of in real time, right? That's
No, it's over the period, maybe a month or two since we
right.
last.
But I mean, in February next year, you really, what do you care about all this data from last year?
And furthermore, this is just a month at a time so far. Can you do a year's worth of data?
oh yeah, that is the other thing too. So if you're just looking to have a one and done report, let's see how far back. I mean, I think it allows you to go as far back as you need. And whatever you're, exporting
Okay.
or whatever you're pulling up within the report online is what you're exporting. As far as like how Jan said, like if you're trying to share what the most popular pages were, that could be landing pages or just all pages. All pages will show you every single page on your site that's being tracked and, order it by number of page views. And then the landing pages tells you where folks are first getting to within your site. The content drill down might be another one. I can't remember what this one is.
Like if you want to see articles, you can drill down to articles.
Yeah. So it's kind of like you're going through your site a little at a time, like through the path. Oh, I don't know why it did that. I just want to reorder it. There we go. Yours will definitely look a lot different. It will probably just start off with whatever your league name is, but since we're looking at the MyLO one, we get to see all the different states and then all the different local leagues, and then it would open up to, what their pages are. And then like Jen said, yeah, you can see the articles, the events, any committees they might have. And when you see the / or this little folder icon that tells you there's another, there's further path forward. But if you're seeing, I guess this looks kind of like a web screen, and then it does not have a trailing / that tells you that that's the end of the path. Like that's where they landed. Yeah, but that one's interesting too, because then you get to see how many dropped off. And if you're trying to go back to the beginning of that path or anywhere in between, just click on the path levels or go back to all and it opens it back up. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think that there's anywhere that kind of has a one place, like a one-stop shop to download kind of all of it. You could create custom reports, but that usually takes a little more finessing of the different dimensions and metrics. And so the built-in reports are nice to go with.
Currently, my account is under my personal Google account, and I want to move it, have it be now we have a league one.
Yeah.
Rather, so I'd like to switch over to that one. And at some point, I thought I made it so that you could see this Google by logging into this Google Analytics by logging into from either of the two accounts. I don't remember how I did that. Does that sound like something I could have done?
Yeah, for sure. You can have more than one administrator, more than one, viewer. There's different roles, and that would allow more than one person to be able to log in and see it.
And then eventually, could I just get rid of myself and
Mhm.
everything should be working fine under that second person,
Yeah.
second administrator?
Yeah. I actually did that with Linda Miller. I think she's on the call. And at first I was thinking that it was not even possible to transfer ownership, but it's very easy to do. So essentially you're just adding the new person first. You need to at least have one administrator before you can remove yourself. So I came over to the admin, the little cog in the bottom left corner. Let's go to an account that I actually have access to. So then you'll go to account access management. Oops. So let's see. Oh, I don't have account access to that. Oh, this is Google's. Sorry. Demo site demo. There we go. That is one of my actual accounts. Okay. Try this again. Account access management. That looks more like it. Okay. So let's I don't want to remove myself. I'll make both of these folks administrators. And first, let's just go through this form. So to create a new one, the big blue plus sign, and then click add users. I'm not sure what add user groups is. I think it's just adding more than one person at a time. But within the add users, you can add more than one person and just separate by a comma. So I already have both of these, but you can allow the notification to be sent to them. And typically it's just notifying them that they have a new user role within this Google Analytics account, and then it gives them a link to go to the account. Standard roles. Administrator is probably what you're looking for, so they have full control. Editor just restricts their ability to manage users, so they can't add or remove folks. Marketer is only for GA4 or available only for GA4 properties. And I guess I'm not sure what the difference. Oh, okay, there's limitations on the type of data and settings that they can edit. And then analysts, it seems like even more limited. They're just able to change dashboards, so they're not really able to tweak how the data is presented. And then the viewer, they're just going to see. They're not able to manage anything. As far as no role assigned, I don't know why that's available, but yeah.
We set up Paul so that he was an analyst as well as a viewer, so that he manages the reports for me, because it's kind of above my pay grade. He understands that stuff more than I do. So, but that's what I did, so that he had access to create reports to share with the board.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a way to do it, so that if you know you have somebody else setting up how the data is going to be captured, then an analyst is just able to tweak how it's presented on a dashboard, but they're essentially just there to download reports and share. And then data restrictions, we don't really cover any cost or revenue, so we can skip. Well, I guess we could just check that we don't need them. You can leave it blank. It won't make a difference. And then you would hit add. I'm not going to do that since I already have these folks there. Don't save. But yeah, once you hit add, then we would come back to this list of folks and you would see the person that you just added listed here. And then if you're trying to edit an existing user's role, we want to view users account details. And we click on the little pencil by their role, and then we see the same thing that or similar to what we saw before. I'm gonna make
Well-
them.
Will this have to be changed again on the G4, or does it just transfer over and be, I don't have to go in and do this again for Paul?
I do not know,
Whoa.
because
Wouldn't
I'm
they
not
be two
sure.
different properties? Wouldn't they be two different properties that you'd be choosing at the beginning?
That is very true. As far as if Google is creating the GA4 property for you, again, I'm not sure. I don't know if they are kind of cloning things over to the GA4 property. But Barb, yes, if we are creating the property ourselves, there isn't a connection to the UA property. It is a fresh new GA4 property that we're creating. So in that case, yes, you would need to check your account access settings again.
Yeah, the G4 was already set up, but it was not active. When we set up Google Analytics, I can't say it this morning. Anyway, when we set up the account, we set up the Universal and the G4.
Okay.
So
Oh,
this
yes.
morning, when I got an email from Google Analytics, they just said,
Complete
do
setup.
you want help? How do you complete? And if I clicked yes, I got the data screen that I've seen
Okay.
we have
Yes.
before, but I don't know how to connect what we have on the Google side with the MyLO side.
Okay. I can go over that again. I'll bring that up and we can do that one more time. So just to wrap up the roles here, I'm going to remove their access as an administrator. This would be the same thing if I were removing my own access. It may ask one more like confirmation question just because it knows that you're removing yourself. But again, since you have an administrator in place, it won't give you an error message. So we're confirming that that administrator should be gone. And then poof, you to be out of there. So any more questions on account access?
Well, I just would say, in my case where I have the two, the one that's mine, the one that's more generic, that it really doesn't hurt to have both of us still on there, right?
Yeah.
It just makes it, but there is the generic one, which seems better for our league because, you know,
Easier to turn over.
succeed to, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if there's a limit on how many different accounts you can have. I would imagine it's probably pretty big if there is. So add as many folks.
I think there'd just be the original and the generic, right? Because after that, everybody, any person who holds that position will be using the generic one.
Mhm.
By generic, I mean, you know, Wheaton, LWVIL or something.
Right.
Although, do we have any worries about Google getting, one company is really tightening access. And I thought it was Google. Does anybody else hear about that? That, you know, that people, they don't want other people using people's account. And so if you have sort of a account that everybody in your league uses to, or the people who have the positions that where they need to access it, I mean, like we have our Google Drive on one of those accounts. There are multiple people using that. Mm-hmm. And I thought Google was getting a little upset about that.
I thought that sounds like Netflix.
Yeah, definitely is Netflix. I wouldn't be surprised if Google was trying to get on that train though. They do have Google Workspace, so it would make sense that they might have that push towards trying to have everybody on their own account and, you know, pushing it for security reasons. But as far as I know, it's still available.
We had that problem with our Gmail account for the league. And so now there's only one person who has access to the Google emails. So that person then has to forward it to other people, because Google made it so that if anyone else tried to access it, which they've done in the past, then it reverts to, well, in my case, it's my phone number, so I have to okay that person to get on now, and that's created a problem when in the past, the president, the treasurer, everyone could access what was coming into the Gmail account for the league.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that is
that's,
true.
that's,
Two-factor authentication is much more popular today.
yeah, that's, but when you're using Google Drive, you at least can use your own account, and that you could, that, the information that's in that general one you just share. I mean, you're able to get it from there but you log in into your own account.
Right, without
We've
that
actually
question.
noticed a bit of a conflict if the person has their personal Gmail open, or they're working in that, and then they flip over to our workspace or another Gmail account. It sometimes doesn't like that very much. And so you have to go and close all your Google accounts and then get back into the league account. And that seems to kind of tell Google that you're only working in the one league account, and that seems to help.
I use different browsers.
Yeah, I was gonna say that can usually
Oh.
help. And sometimes I use the Google Chrome browser where I'm logged in and I have other profiles. So that allows me to jump in between other Google users. So that might be another, but different browsers for sure can help that. But I wanted to just go through the steps again. Linda, if you want to follow along. So I'm just going through the steps again of a GA4 property already set up, and we're just going through the steps to, I can't remember if we created the web stream or if it's just installation, but we're going to go through those steps.
Okay.
So from your Google Analytics, if you're on the home screen, wherever you're at, just click on the admin cog in the bottom left corner.
Okay, wait a sec. I have to minimize you before I can find mine. So what I have in front of me is called data stream, so I need to get back to the
Oh.
setup.
You're already at data streams.
Well, I just was clicking on things trying to find what I needed, but should I go
Yeah.
back to setup?
No, if you're at data streams, that's perfect. Do you see a data stream already set up? It should have your league's URL if it's there.
Right, it is. And
Okay.
then there's a number.
And then does it read no data received in past 48 hours?
I have to move. I can't see the whole screen because.
You might have to zoom out a little.
Okay. It says no data received in past 48 hours.
Okay, so then click on, you can click anywhere. Does it pop up? If you click anywhere, like where it says no data received or the caret to the right of it, just click on that and it should open up a pop-up window that says web stream details.
Okay.
Once that comes up, do you see the button that says view tag instructions?
Yes.
Click on that.
Okay.
But you've already done that for this particular one, didn't you?
Yes, I am just going through these steps. Since
So
Linda's going through.
it keeps telling you need to do the tag setup, but you already did.
It doesn't keep telling me. This is my third time going through the steps just for the
Okay.
training purposes.
Okay.
So then this will pop up the installation instructions. Do you see where it says install manually kind of off to the right?
Okay.
Click on that.
All right.
And where you see the HTML code where the carets start, copy that whole thing. So within that little text box.
Okay, there's a number that's like a less than sign and then a one. Do I copy all of that?
Copy all of that. So it starts with the open caret or the less than sign, exclamation point, dash, dash, and then all those lines all the way down until you get to the open caret / script, close caret. So everything in between.
Okay, got it.
Got that copied, and then come over to your, I would suggest opening a new tab if you don't already have it for your homepage.
I do.
Okay. Start a
Okay.
new draft of your homepage.
Okay, I gotta log in. Hang on. I'm sorry it goes so slow.
No worries. I feel like if anybody was taking
Okay.
notes or had any questions, this is definitely when it's like solidified. So,
Okay, so I'm at the home page.
okay, start a new draft
Okay,
and then scroll all the way down to advanced settings. Click on that.
okay,
And then in the Google Analytics tracking code box,
okay.
just hit the enter key so you have one fresh line to then paste your code onto.
Above what's already there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
And
and then paste it in.
yeah, paste it in. I'm not actually going to paste mine, but paste yours.
Okay, got it.
And then we're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom. Before you save, change the moderation state to published. And then save.
Okay. Says local or ILO Lee Coos County has been updated.
Awesome. So that's what we're looking for. And then if you come back over to your analytics screen,
Okay,
close out of the installation instructions,
okay,
close out of the web stream details.
okay.
And then it should probably get you back to the data streams page, and it
It
just,
did.
okay. Now you can go home. So in the left side menu, click on home.
Okay,
Oh, it
I
should
got a
take a second.
pop-up that says, welcome to Google Analytics 4. Get
Perfect.
started.
Yeah, so you can skip that. I would just recommend you can close that, and it should pop up next time if you weren't ready to like go through the intro to GA4, but it's just introducing you to your dashboard.
Okay.
It should, after some time, like we saw earlier, tell you that initially it will tell you no data collection is active, but it should change over after a bit and say that it is active, and it may take 24 hours to, start showing up.
It says there that to start collecting data, make sure your website is tagged using the measurement ID, and then there's a G-PM and a bunch of numbers. And then down below it says get tagging instructions.
So is that at the top of that? It probably says web stream details. You can close out of that.
No, this is on my home page. The home says no data received from your website yet. To start collecting data, make sure that your website is tagged
see.
using the measurement ID.
Yes. So yes, initially it's going to read that no data is being collected.
Okay.
It's just going to take maybe some refreshing, just take a little bit of time, but it will change over.
There's a box below it though that says get tagging instructions. Do I have to do that too?
Nope, that's what we just went through. As long as you follow the steps and you pasted it into that Google Analytics tracking code box, then it's set up. I would just say refresh, and see what happens.
Okay.
Or you can check back later and it will definitely be there. If it isn't, then that just means we have to go through the steps again to paste in that code. But I can help you with that.
Okay. It's when I refresh, it didn't do anything different, so.
Yeah, you might check back later.
It does say there's a kind of a pink box at the top that says complete setup.
In the top right-hand side.
Does it say that
It
settings may
says-
be completed for you based on your original Universal Analytics property?
It says this property is set up. This property's setup is not complete. Settings may be completed for you based on your original Universal Analytics property unless you opt out in the connected UA property. And then there's a learn more, and a complete setup is a red box.
I see.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm seeing
so
that too. I'm seeing that too, and I can't figure out a way to get past this. It just keeps dumping me. It keeps telling me to verify your new property settings and complete setup, and I can't seem to get it to do anything.
verify your new property settings. That is different than this one because this one is, I don't know why it has some of our GA4 properties were created connected to our UA property, which is annoying because we're trying to get away from that. So
Yeah, that's what mine is. It says your
yours as
properties
well?
are connected.
Okay, so I clicked on complete setup, and this is where it brought me to the setup assistant. I'm assuming when I click open connected property, it will take me to the UA property that this one is connected to. I'm not entirely sure of what the next steps would be though. So let's see if it kind of walks me through it. But yeah, we definitely want to have them separate. So if you follow the steps that we took to create the GA4 property brand new fresh, then there isn't going to be a connection here. I think
When I connected with the complete setup, I got a screen that says, this is your GA4 property.
right. And
We're
then you can
connected.
click on open connected property.
Okay,
So that's where I am now. It tells you, it brings up a pop-up almost there, finish migrating to GA4. And this is
Right.
just always going to pop up since we're on a UA property. I'm going to say no thanks.
okay.
Here we go. Okay, so that seems pretty easy.
And then it just says go to GA4 property.
Scroll down. So this is the GA4 setup assistant for the UA property that I have selected. So anybody who has a UA property will have that option under that, UA property that you pull up. So if you wanted to avoid the rigmarole that we went through to get from just this GA property to the UA property, if you know which one it is, go straight to the UA property and click on GA4 Setup Assistant. Then click Disconnect.
Okay, do I have to click on the GA4 property?
No, scroll down and click on Disconnect.
Disconnect. Okay.
Disconnect. I don't see it. Oh, yes, I do. Okay, disconnect.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but
And
that one looks
Are you
like,
sure you want to do this?
but
Yes.
is that the UA one or the G4 one?
this is UA. Again, you
It
can tell
looked like
because
it said,
it has UA here. And this is
what,
the GA4 Setup Assistant.
And then it says Google Analytics for Property Setup Assistant, not connected.
Perfect. So that's what we want. We want to make sure that the GA4 Setup Assistant is not connected to your UA property.
Okay.
So we disconnect. And this, I think, happens if you created the properties together. I think if you check this box as well, it will have connected them. I think I did that a while back. So automatically set up a basic.
There's no box to check. I mean,
No,
there's-
I'm just giving some instruction as well. I'm still talking to everybody.
sorry.
So
then we just hit get
disconnect.
started and do what you've been teaching us this session.
Yeah, if you don't
Okay.
yet have a GA4 property, then just start fresh. That's the easiest way. And just go through the steps that we've gone through. So I'm going to disconnect mine. Perfect. So I see the same thing that you had, Linda, not connected. And that's what we want. So the connection is broken. We can now go back to the GA4 property. And you should be able to refresh it and see that warning gone.
Do I connect GA4 Setup Assistant?
No,
Okay, just refresh from here.
You'll need to open up the GA4 property because you're probably still looking at the UA property.
I get the thing that says the property will stop processing data starting July 1.
Right.
And
So
we did note
so you're
that.
looking at the UA property. Do you have another tab open in your browser?
Yeah,
Click on the other analytics tab because that should be your GA4 property.
this is your GA4. Okay.
And then
then
refresh the page.
Do I click open connected property?
Refresh the page.
Refresh it. Okay. Says
So
0 of 7 marked complete.
okay. So the collect website and app data, that should be collecting data. I didn't actually set mine up here.
This has not started.
I'm going to go through the steps just to see how long it kind of takes. Whoops, let me close that.
I'm curious, Lynette, is this, are you able to do what she's saying you should do to get beyond? you
I
were?
haven't been able to yet. I'm going back. I'm trying to find the G4 property.
Yeah, I'm a little confused, Emery. So
Yeah,
what we were
I did-
disconnecting.
Yeah, I did not have another tab open, so so now I'm trying to find the G4 property that Amaris is talking about.
so if you're trying to get back to it, you can also just get back to it from clicking up here where you see all accounts and then you'll see the account name or
Okay.
and then the property name. So click on that and then you can find the proper property that you're trying to, get to.
So you're trying to get to this UA one?
So what we did, we
okay.
had we started with the GA4 property and I had it connected to my UA property. And when I went through to the setup, before it was the GA4 setup assistant, since they were connected, I was able to see the connected UA account. And that's when I clicked open connected property. That prompted a new tab to open and it sent me to, I think it was this one, the UA property that it's connected to. So from there, I was at the GA4 setup assistant again and just clicked disconnect. So if it doesn't bring up that pop-up window for you, you can still travel through to the different properties from here or from up here. You have different ways to go about it.
When I clicked back to the one where we were working, there's a thing that the UA comes up and over in the side it says move property or move to the rubbish bin.
I'm not sure.
So what does it mean to
Um,
have a property connect, the G4 property be connected to the UA property?
So let's take a look. It might give me, oh no, it
I
doesn't.
maybe it's a vocabulary I'm having a little trouble with.
So
It's very interesting. It's very there's like some dangerous warnings that are popping up about would you like to connect the G4 to the UA? And I've selected no, and it popped up another box that said optional. Tell us about why you're doing this. Tell us about your choice.
you could say that you're going to set up the data stream.
Okay.
That's the ultimate goal. So the reason why this is bad, or we don't want to set up our GA4 property this way, is because technically the data is being collected by the UA property and then being given to the GA4 property, and that just UA is leaving, so that's not going to be a supportable way forward.
Okay.
So we want to make sure that if we have selected to automatically set up a basic Google Analytics for property within our UA, or if I would imagine Google is probably setting it up in its own property, not collecting from UA, but you just want to double check the GA4 setup assistant under your UA property it will tell you if it's connected or not. And if it is connected, you'll just have to scroll down a bit and click disconnect, or I think it was open. No, you would click disconnect.
Yeah, disconnect, and then it sends you over. Then you have to go and select your G4 property, and then you get the warning, or do you want to connect this? And you select no.
Right. Yes. And if that was how your GA4 property was set up and was collecting data, there's a chance that the data stream is not yet set up. So if that's the case, once you have them disconnected, you can come back over to your GA4 property. You can click on either Setup Assistant or go straight to Data Streams. Setup Assistant gives you a chance to get there as well. I think you have to click the caret. Yeah, so manage data
Where
streams.
is Setup Assistant now? Oh, I got it. Never mind.
So data streams. I'm actually going to set this one up since I hadn't before. So we click on the data stream. What did I click on? I clicked on the little caret. We get the web stream details, and then we have to see the tag instructions. And we want to install manually since we're copying and pasting. And then I'm going to come over here to my demo site this time.
And how many times have you shown us this?
This one will be number 4.
Sorry.
No worries. That's what the training is about. And I already have envisioned that this will be something that we're not going to put to rest for a while. And I know that. I think that we want to make sure that everybody has caught on. And so that could take some time. I know that not everybody gets the initial announcement.
It was kind of a curveball that I was in
kind of jumping into it.
You guys had been.
Yeah, I was just kind of itching to get into it. But yeah, Jennifer, sorry, I ignored
I'm
your
sorry.
hands there.
When will you be posting this video?
This one I can get posted up today. I think since the thing that gets me is always the descriptions. If we're jumping around to different topics, it's harder to get all of that in the description, but I can just say this was installing Google Analytics. So
The epic session.
yes. And then Susan, did you have a question?
Yeah, I definitely do, because I sort of dived out and ignored you guys for just a few minutes, and I actually set up my G4 account. Everything looked beautiful as you showed us, and then it said, oh, and here's an ID, and you have to put this in. And I have no idea where I put that in, but it came by as you were accessing the data stream. I could there.
Was it here?
Measurement
Okay.
ID.
Let's go from here, Susan, then. So if you are seeing this page, click on View Tag Instructions. And it'll start you off with Install with a website builder or CMS.
Got it.
Click over to Install manually.
Did that.
And then copy that Google tag HTML code.
And I pasted it into my homepage.
Yes, make sure you have it in that Google Analytics tracking code section and then publish.
So that ID should be there. It shouldn't be sending me a message saying you don't have your ID.
Yeah,
It should
because
be
it's in there. It
Yeah,
says
the ID
of-
is within your Google
All right.
tag code.
I will look for it, make sure it's there, because
Did you-
it claims
did-
it's not.
Did you publish?
Yeah.
And it, like I was telling Linda, it may take some time because that's what was happening in my first example. It was taking a little bit of time. If that is the case for you, you might again need to refresh. You might have to come back a little bit later,
Okay.
or we can troubleshoot together if it's still, you know, after a few hours is still not showing up. Because typically for me, when I've tried it previously, it did take a little bit of time. You know, the UA property before would be pretty instant, like a couple of seconds. But
Amherst, one of the things I found when I got to the screen that you had me do, the other one I had open for the G4, I clicked on data streams and I get my MyLO site with a number, But at the top, it says add stream. Am I supposed to add this?
No, that's always just going to be there. You've already
Okay.
added the stream you need.
Okay. So am I done?
Yes, I would say just check in on it later.
Okay.
Because let's see if I can pull up my other.
Should
the
I leave it
GA4 one I made.
open?
It doesn't have to remain open. This is what you'll eventually see. So it will tell you your data collection is active with a party popper. It may take up to 24 hours to appear in your analytics account. So after some time, that's what you should see. If you're after, like I said, after a few hours still seeing no data collection is active at this time, then I'll just want to, go through and make sure that the code matches and it's, entered in properly.
Okay.
But usually it's a pretty straightforward process.
Okay.
Well, Lynette, do you think you've succeeded now?
No,
Are
my,
you still dealing with the connected accounts?
okay, I think I just got this figured out. Okay. Yeah, it didn't look very much like where you guys were, so I'm
Okay.
not sure what I did.
But do you think that what your problem was caused by using the one that Google automatically made for you, the G4 property?
Yeah, I think, it had already connected the properties and gave me some different screens than we were all looking at before. So, so I think I've almost got this figured out.
Okay.
No, I find the vocabulary, their properties, their data streams, I'd like a better definition of all and how they're all related.
We need a glossary.
A glossary or something.
Yeah, it's definitely different because my understanding of properties was, the type of platform it is, I guess, if it's going to be a website or an app. But now data streams are pretty similar, but then they differentiate whether it's an Android or iOS app. But yeah, in my mind, I don't know what is really the difference there, but it's something to do with the GA4 property. We have to just do what Google tells us.
I checked my code on my homepage and it is indeed that ID. So it's there and I will wait and be patient. But I'm speaking up to tell you that after I did this, and it actually worked, thanks to Amaris, they actually had the nerve to offer me a survey. How satisfied were you with the process of setting this up? Yeah, right.
Yeah, I don't know if satisfied is the right word. But yeah, I think we'll keep this going. I will do my homework on the reports. I can't imagine that it's too different from what we have used before. I think that the way it's presented might be quite different though. But yeah, I will try and get that ready so that we can at least talk about a little bit for the next session. But we're going to be in Google Analytics mode for this month.
So you're going to send us a link to the previous session on Google Analytics reports?
Yes.
Do that. Thanks.
Yes, for sure. And I'll just I'll put that in the group and along with this recording.
Amaris,
Mm-hmm.
can you go to my homepage and see if I've gotten this code put in? I copied what they had there, but it doesn't identify anything as G4.
Oops, I have to log out or switch back.
I didn't get the party popper or anything. My login takes a little bit. Oops, sorry, I am not masquerading.
I love your picture.
Oh, thanks. That's Mount Hood.
So is this the same ID you have, G2HHKJ?
Yes.
Okay, it's missing the bottom portion. So this part is missing from, wait, is that the same tag? Oh, just kidding. It is there. Oh, I was looking at this one here. So let me just make it bigger and easier to see. So this is the UA. This is an incomplete portion. I'm going to just get rid of this since it does look to be the same code. And then this one is complete.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, I'm not sure why, because even if that incomplete one was there, it should be trying to recognize this one. Maybe because that incomplete one was above the complete one,
Okay.
that could be. So let's just publish. Whoops.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Do you
Hopefully
think-
that's it.
Do you think some of our problems are caused by having both of them in there, but the code for both?
I don't believe so. Because in my testing, I was just adding. But you might try that, but again, that's going to disconnect the UA property. So I would say if you're still having trouble, definitely make sure that it is filled out completely, the code, and it has, you know, all the proper matching ID pieces. And then we can troubleshoot together. You can also try maybe putting the GA4 code above the UA code. It could be a real simple fix if it's still not
I
connected.
haven't tried anything yet. I can't timeshare the way the other ladies are doing. I mean, I don't, do you have
We
two?
haven't terrified you.
Well, do you have two computers going at once, or, I mean, or you just leave the Zoom and work away?
I split my screens, but normally I'll have, if I'm just working outside of office hours, I'll have Amaris's video on my iPad, and I'll just
Ah,
stop it, do a little bit, watch a little bit more, and do a little bit more.
yeah, maybe I need to get my iPad set up.
Susan, did you still have a question?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions.
Mhm.
I'm trying now to go back to my old Universal Analytics so I can look at reports and maybe download things. And it was not letting me go to that account. It kept insisting, yes, you only want to look at G4. And as I poke around, I do now see that I have 3 properties. And one is the one I created just now. I know that because I put the date on it. And there's one called Washtenaw Analytics Universal GA4.
And
It
what's the code below it? Like, is there a UA or is it just a string of numbers?
No, it's 377274569. So maybe Google has done that already.
Yes,
for us.
that sounds like it because it's definitely a GA4 property.
And it's a different number. But the deal is, how do I make it not think I just want the GA4, but allow me back into the LWB Washtenaw UA account to look at reports?
Yeah, you should. So from the top kind of left corner, right next to the logo, you should be able to click on that all accounts and then jump around from there. Yeah, it shouldn't. So you would click on the property and then you have to choose the view. That might be a missing step. It should allow you to switch over to view that property.
Okay, well, I've not been successful with whatever I'm doing so far. I might have to reach out on the side for you.
Yeah. But real quick, are you on the home screen of your analytics account?
At the moment now, I just went there, yes.
Do you see your property name in the top kind of banner?
I do. I see the GA4 one in big bold letters, and then I see
Yeah.
all accounts LWV Washtenaw.
Click on
When I
that box.
click the down arrow, here's the three
Mhm.
of them listed.
And then select the UA property that you want to see.
Okay.
And then to the right, there should be views. You might have one. Click on.
Oh,
a
bingo,
view.
bingo. You
Okay.
did it. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, yes, yes. That's one thing that we don't often talk about, the views. When you create a property, the default view is like the master view. So it's just showing you everything. The views allow you to filter data out. We've talked about this, and unfortunately, we don't have a nice, easy solution for ourselves as far as webmasters being traffic on our sites. It's a little harder for us since we're not at static IPs or working always at the same place and same desktop. But yeah, views allow you to filter certain data if you're just trying to look at specific segments of your traffic data. Any other questions? Or Susan, did you have another question?
No, no, thank you. I'll put my hand down.
No worries.
I started looking at my site, and under data streams, I have one that's Wheaton LWV GA4, receiving traffic in past 48 hours, and I haven't done anything.
Welcome to my world. That's where I was.
So you might check. So if you are on that GA4 property, let's see if I can try and recreate that. I don't know if, whoops, maybe this one. That was where we went to the GA4 setup assistant. So under admin, whoops, take me to admin. It was under setup assistant. And that was where if you go there, you might see that your GA4 property is connected to your UA, because it sounds like that's how Google is setting it up, which kind of frustrates me, because if you're trying to get us away from UA, why are you making the GA4 property dependent on it?
So should I say open connected property?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to open the UA property to then
And that's
shut
where
off that connection.
and that's where I get this countdown. And I
Mhm.
think you said no thanks.
Right, you can dismiss it. And then you might need to scroll down a bit, and it will say connected property, and off to the right, disconnect. Click on that.
No, it doesn't. Oh, it doesn't. It just says, oh, connected property. Yeah. Okay. And it shows the G4.
Yep, and you want to disconnect.
Oh, okay. I'll disconnect. I haven't put any code in yet, though.
So I think that is why it's
later.
telling you that it is receiving data, because it's connected to the UA property.
Okay.
So once you disconnect it, when you go back to that GA4 property, you'll probably see that data collection is back to not started.
Okay. So then I have to work on the code.
Yeah, so going to data streams, you would follow the same steps we did, where we named the data stream, we put in our MyLO URL, and then we click create stream. It gives us the stream details, and we click on, or the tag instructions will also come up automatically too. And that's when we choose install manually and then copy and paste.
Okay. I haven't found data streams.
You might, if you aren't an admin yet, that's where you'll find it, under the property.
Well, I am an admin.
Did you click on admin?
Oh, I see. Yeah, no, I'm an admin.
And then it's under data streams, under property. Are you looking at the GA4 property or the UA property still?
I don't know.
Under property, where you have the property name, does it have just a trail of
Oh,
numbers?
it's the UA. Yeah.
Okay.
So I want to go to the G4.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You know, We'll stop processing. Okay, it says, would you like to connect the G4 property to no.
No.
To a
So
UA no.
click on data streams. The setup assistant we can ignore for now.
I'll skip for now. Okay. Data streams. Ah, there it is. Data streams. Okay.
And then you probably don't have one set up since the
Oh,
UA was connected.
it says Wheaton LWVGA4.
And then the URL is your MyLO URL.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So then they did create the data stream for you. So then to finish, you just need to install the code. So did you want to go through that now, or we did go through it a few times?
It would, I know, if you just tell me,
Yeah, so
what do I-
click on the caret, like the pointing
yeah,
to the right, and then click on view tag instructions.
at the very end. Okay, I can do this.
And then
part.
install manually. Yeah. Once you click on install manually, it should look familiar to
Yeah,
the UA
Yeah,
process.
I can do this.
And then
Okay,
how do you know if you've successfully completed this?
That's why I like to keep this open. The only downside is that it won't tell you if it's wrong. I mean, it will just show up as no data being collected. But I might have to go back to this one. It, like I said, should update over time. Is it going to take me to that property? There we go. So it will say no data received. Didn't I set this one up? Let's see. Oh, just kidding. I'm going to get tagging instructions. I thought this one was set up, but if you need to, double check it like I do, then we just follow the same steps that I just went over. I'm going to come back to sample basic site. Let's just go straight to edit.
if you ever become a mother, you'll be a very good mother. You're very
Yes.
patient.
I hope it would translate to that. Let's see, what code was this? I have NVB.
Are you still in the
do
Clackamas
have it here.
website?
I am not. I am now in my sample basic site. Oh, so it might be that I have 3 different GA4 properties going on. That could be
Wow.
a reason. And this is just for testing purposes, the reason why I have so many. So that could be why it's not taking. So if this probably won't be your issue, so don't worry about this, but I'm just gonna try and test this out at the same time. I'm adding it above the others just to see what that does. But yeah, if you are unsure of it working, you can go through the steps again. I would probably recommend, just to avoid missing any pieces, you can always use the little copy to clipboard icon that they have. But then once you plug that in, you close both of those and go back home. And I don't know why. For me, it's pretty quick. But I know before for myself, it did take some time with some others that I was testing. And
Yeah.
if you're like me, where you have multiple codes, you might try putting that one at the top. I don't know if that affects the data collection of the other code that's there for the other property. But the good thing is that if you are, if your UA account, you just want to cut it or whatever, if it doesn't collect the data properly, we always have the traffic data of all of MyLO. So if you don't have access to it, you can always request a report.
Maybe other people don't need this, but if they do, if they would find it helpful. Jan, you seem to make nice reports for your board meetings. Maybe you could give us a 15-minute tutorial or summary of what you like to share and how you go about it.
Is she still here? I think she might have left.
Oh, Oh, she's left.
Yeah, I think
Maybe.
so.
Well,
But
but that might be helpful to us because
yeah,
it's a very
coming from a user's
practical approach. Yeah.
uh-huh, and coming from her perspective too, I think could be really helpful.
Would other people find that helpful? I don't mean to.
Yes, I would.
Definitely.
Before we leave, I'd
Mhm.
like to raise a question that I've raised before, but I would really like to officially put it out there. And maybe Annemarie can find somebody who can tell me more about this. When I look at demographics on our UA account, and
Mhm.
it's about 6 months worth of collection of data, it shows 54% male and the
Oh, that
opposite
doesn't mean anything.
46 is female. All right, but everybody's telling me, how do we know? And it's because they don't have everybody. But I really would like to know how valid that is and
It's
what
not
difference.
valid at all. Everybody has the same information, the same data, the same exact numbers, and that couldn't possibly be true. So I just don't obsess on it.
But if that's true about this, and if that's true that our demographic age brackets, 50% are under 35 years, that also is not true.
No. Yeah.
So
I think
what
it's-
is true? What is
Yeah.
true in
Well,
any of
that's
this that we're
Well,
looking at?
as far as the demographic data, I don't know how they're collecting it. All the other data is they're able, this Google is able to collect it very easily because it's just, a technical thing that's already there. The demographics would have to be provided by that user. And so that's where I find it hard for Google to collect that data easily and in a, a practical way, and that is not violating someone's privacy. Yeah, I'm not sure. I would imagine they have help documentation on the demographics report and how they go about it. I just haven't gone into that deep end, but you could definitely find some help documentation within the Google Analytics Help Center.
But if you
Well-
look it up, if you look up that statistics, you'll see people commenting that it just,
Did they
there's
kind of have
no
something
way.
similar?
Well, yeah, and there's no way they can get that. I mean, they have that for some people. Unfortunately, that's like that ad on TV where they're talking about your health issues and finding out that they know that you don't get your period and things like that. But they really don't know that much about the users. So it's pretty impossible for them to, it's maybe.
Yeah, because I think
Yeah.
it's about the user opting in. And so, yeah, in the end, they don't really have that much data on the specific personal data like that on the user because the user has to report it themselves.
I'm willing to somewhat challenge what you're saying, because we keep being told by the people who know about this stuff that they know a lot more about us than we want them to. And therefore, what's going on? So anyhow, that was my parting shot, and this has been wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Can I ask one question?
For sure.
Is the Google 4 now will be collecting the data and the reports will come off of that?
You will have to, so whatever you had going on in your previous UA property, if you had reports automatically being generated, you have to set that up with the GA4 property. But I'm not going to go over reports just yet.
But from this point on, will it just collect the data on the 4 side and not on the UA side?
It should collect it on both if you
Okay.
left the UA code in there as well.
Okay. Thanks.
Mm-hmm. And Linda, if you see any difference, let me know, because I haven't seen any effect on the UA traffic. But if you're seeing like your numbers drastically change, then I'd like to know just so I can let other folks know if that's the case. And then, like I said, we have the full reporting of all of MyLO. So if folks are in need of reports, we can do it that way.
All right, thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Alrighty, well, I'm gonna get this recording processing, and then I'll see you guys in the Google group. And then in 2 weeks after that, I'll put the reminder in my wrap up.
Thanks, Annemarie. Thanks for your patience.
Yeah, no problem.
Appreciate you. thoughts.
Thanks. All right. We'll see each other later in the group.
Okay, bye.
All right. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks.